Well, hello and welcome to the Sports Bar Show, where we chew the fat and talk the balls every Friday. Well, it's becoming a regular occurrence on a Friday. I'm Steve Brown. Alongside me, as always, is Brent Peters, the manager here at Bacup Borough. And as I always say, Brent, we've had a good week.
I'm quite hectic. I've been flying about this morning.
You've been flying around like a blue horse, you know what.
Exactly. One of them flies. Flying all over the place.
What have you been up to, apart from purchasing new vans and things like that for your business?
Well, a bit of everything really. It's variety's the spice of life here, you know.
It is.
You know, one minute you're dealing with football club business, next minute you're dealing with sports bar business, next minute you're dealing with my personal business. And it just so happened that this morning, when I'm all geared up for the sports bar show, that I get a phone call from my accountant who doesn't know. Obviously, you know, he was talking to me about that dreaded word, tax.
All right.
So
is it that time of year, or is that already
well,
been and gone?
There's a few things that we've got to sort out, and you know, it's all good advice. You know, again, I can't thank one of our partners, which is Pierce's in Blackburn. As you know, they're one of our partners, but they're absolutely worth the weight in gold. You know, the advice they give me, I mean, at the end of the day, who am I? Yeah. I'm a football manager, stroke coach.
They always seem to be on the end of a phone, though.
Always
there.
And giving you best advice, and to do this, and to put it there, and do that, and you shouldn't do that, you should do that. And it's good to know, and it's good to have them on board. And as you know, they're partners with us. They've got their names on the players' travelling tracksuits, and you know, you give them great exposure, and you have done.
Well, yeah, and we'll continue to.
So we will continue because they give us great support, and we're thankful for that. Like our many partners out there,
yeah.
You know, give this football club tremendous support, and without them, we'd have a serious problem.
Plenty of talking points. I've seen your piece of paper there, Brent. I don't know how we're going to get through all that, but there's
only bullet points.
There's been a lot happening.
There has been a lot happening, yeah, but they're only bullet points. It just gives me, you know, making sure I'm on top of my job.
Yeah, well, you are, and the one I can see in capitals, Glazers.
Oh dear.
What is happening down at United?
Oh dear. Well,
I could see it happening though. It was banked on. They left it a couple of weeks since the European competition.
Immediately, look, before we backtrack, let's talk about immediately that it came out about the Super League, and they were behind it. You knew that what happened 16 years ago was going to happen again.
Yeah.
Because all that did was ignite the flame.
Yeah.
Threw petrol on the fire.
Yeah.
You know, things had simmered down, although it was in the background with the Glazers.
But it also illustrated as well, Brent, didn't it, that why so many supporters were against the Glazers taking control in the first place.
I agree with that. But look, I'm not going to change my stance that I said about Burnley when the Burnley takeover happened, and I'm not going to change my stance now even with the Glazers. Let's get one thing straight here. People keep harping on about they've borrowed money to buy something, in this case Manchester United. So they've borrowed money, and from that borrowing, once they've got hold of the business, that money has gone on to Manchester United, so it becomes a debt for Manchester United as the business, as the limited company.
Yeah.
And they're burdened with that debt now of paying that debt back. But I've got to say this. I'm kind of only small fry in businesses, right? But that sort of scenario happens in every walk of life when you buy a business. People who buy businesses don't often have 100% of the capital that it's needed to buy that business. So they go to the bank or go to whatever financial institution it is. They'll borrow the money, and then they'll pay to get hold of the whether like as Gary Neville described on Sky when he talked about if you're buying a chip shop up the road. Yeah. So it's just the same principle.
Just on a smaller scale.
It's on a smaller scale.
So
basically what happens is you go and borrow the money, and once you've got the money and that business is yours, however which way you put it into your accounts or do it, the business that you're buying will pay back your borrowings. Now, that happens, and I said this to you before when you said to me about, I'm worried about Burnley and everything, and I said to you...
Well, it was a very similar takeover.
Well, it was, yeah. And I said to you, it's none of your business. And to be honest, it's none of their business. But it is. I think what's upset the United supporters, like I said, I've been a lifelong Manchester United fan. But were I bothered about the Glazers? I'm not bothered about who takes over a football club, as long as the football club is up there challenging where they should be at the right end, at the top end of the scale.
And can pay his way.
There's investments going into the stadium. There's investments going into the team, and they're bringing the community, because without the community, there would be no Manchester United or a Burnley or any other football club. So they should bring them into it. Now, I think this is where the Glazers have completely failed, massively. And I think this is what's really, really wrangling and upsetting the United supporters, is because, for instance, and I only found this out over the last 7 days, but one of the first things that they did when they took over at Manchester United, they kind of compulsory purchased all the shares in from the supporters trust. So basically, they basically, whether they liked it or not, we're having them shares.
Yeah.
You're not having them. So that straight away wrangles people up the wrong way, because, you know, it doesn't matter, like our friend Simon Holding, who we've had on the show here, who's a big Burnley supporter. He's proud and privileged that he owns a couple of shares at Burnley.
Yeah.
But them 2 shares to him, they mean a lot, because he loves Burnley.
Yeah.
So, you know, if somebody were to collectively go on compulsory purchase his shares and other people's shares, that'll wrangle them up the wrong way.
But they only want them shares so they have total control of the football club.
100%. But let's be honest, some of them shares, even collectively, aren't going to destroy the Glazers' control, if you follow me logic. But the supporters feel part of the club because they've got this piece of paper that's the shares.
But isn't this a reason why in Germany, that's why they'd come up with this, the 50+1 plan, which means that the majority shares sit in the camp of the supporters rather than, you know...
I don't think, I don't agree. Sorry, Steve.
It works,
I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. Listen.
Why not?
Because I don't agree with it. Because the supporters are here today. I mean, some of them, they've been loyal supporters. I mean, we'll come on to the trouble that happened happened at Old Trafford on Sunday. We'll come to that in a minute. People jump on bandwagons. They're not loyal. They're not true. They're not... And the people, it don't matter whether it's blinking Bradford City, it doesn't matter whether it's Leicester City, it doesn't matter whether it's blinking Stoke City, it doesn't matter whether it's Manchester City. At the end of the day, it takes a lot of money to buy into an empire. You know, obviously, if you've got a sleeping giant like the Abu Dhabi people from Man City were a sleeping giant.
Of course it was.
Right, and it needed investment, and they've come in and done their investment. Now, if they're coming in to do their investment, to take Man City, and all their supporters have gone on a ride with them, they've gone on a journey with them.
Yeah, it wouldn't have happened without it.
So you're going to tell me that the supporters should run Man City and not the oil people? Don't give over, that can't be happening.
I do agree on that. The fans wouldn't have been able to create what was created at Manchester City. What you see at the Etihad and the complex and everything else, that community of Manchester has all been built on...
Everything about... Paul Scholes hit his nail on the head last night. He said, he might get some stick by saying this, he said, look, at the east end of Manchester, it's a rough area. We all know it's a rough area. Yeah, you know.
Well, going back down the years of Moss Side areas
you know, Levens, all up that side, it's kind of rough. But in terms of what they've done, you know, the people who own Man City, they've developed it into a nice. And if you go, if you go to the Etihad on a match day, there's a real experience, matchday experience. I'm sorry, they leave everybody else behind.
And it's within like a 2 or 3 mile radius of the ground.
You walk in and it's like
the infrastructure.
It's like walking in a daft way. And it's like walking in at first, and you're going to a football match, but it's like walking into Blackpool Pleasure Beach.
It's a town. It's a town in itself.
It's a town in itself, exactly, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely gives the fans that it's just a pity that. And I'm not being disrespectful to Man City, but Man City, in terms of fan base, will never live with Manchester United. Never. No. Right? So it's a pity that scenario
isn't in Trafford.
In Trafford. You follow me?
Yeah.
Because it's absolutely fantastic.
It is. You can't knock it.
Exactly. So you're now telling me that them people that's invested into that and invested into the structure of the stadium and invested into all the grassroots and community pitches and everything else shouldn't have control of Man City. The fans should have control of Man City. That is absolutely bonkers, and I don't agree with that. Totally not agree. No. But I also don't agree with what the Glazers are doing, because the Glazers have obviously self-greed, not made themselves a big part of the community. So
they've never been part of it.
They've never been part of it. Now they're apologising and they're saying, but they've never ever been part of that community. Now if they'd have been part and made themselves part of the community and kind of got involved with the supporters more and got involved with what the supporters were thinking and tried to work with the supporters, because let's be honest, at the end of the day, without the supporters, Manchester United won't be the global operation that they are.
No.
So basically, I get that 100%, right? That's what they should have done. They should have been more involved with the community and more a part of the history of Manchester United and embraced that and took it on to another level.
They certainly would have grown more support.
Without doubt.
The hearts and minds of the supporters.
They've distanced themselves, and it just shows this Super League has been the straw that's brought the camel's back, because sneakily, underhandedly, as Gary Neville said, and I thought Gary Neville spoke really passionate and well about it.
Jamie Carragher takes a lot of credit as well.
And Jamie Carragher, 100%. Yeah. And for me, it's the fans, and they've like disengaged themselves from it, and then they've brought in tried to bring in this Super League, and then just really rip Manchester United and Liverpool have tried to do the same. Out of the heart of the community.
They tried to railroad it.
It's out of the heart of the community. And they say, well, we'll travel all over the world, you can't come and watch us, and we'll just make thousands, hundreds of thousands, billions of pounds. Yeah. That is totally wrong. Now then, that brings me to what happened on Sunday. Right? Now, okay, they're having a supposedly peaceful demonstration. Now, I'm not being funny. You can have a peaceful demonstration, all good intents and purposes. You can have we, as a football club, and I can talk about any football club I've managed, on a smaller scale, I could take my players for a weekend away, and I could sit them all down and say to them, look, when we go to the Isle of Man, you're wearing the badge. We don't want no shenanigans. You're representing Bacup Borough Football Club. We want no shenanigans. We've brought our club into the Isle of Man. Yeah. So you've got to be on your best behaviour.
You're ambassadors.
Right? You're ambassadors, and you've got to be on your best behaviour. Now, most of the time, I'll tell you, that will be right, and it will be proper, and it will get done. But there's sometimes you can have the village idiot that's part of it, that's over kind of had too much to drink and oversteps the mark. And when they overstep the mark, what will happen is the people over there on the Isle of Man, or wherever it may be, it might be in Dublin or wherever, what happens is they don't see all the good that group have done and what they've done. They'll prey on to the bad person, what they've committed, because that is what...
Oh, they always pick up on the negative, not the positive.
So if we go back to what happened on Sunday, it seems like to me that some village idiots jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Probably don't even support Manchester
Probably
United.
Never even been to a United game.
Exactly. And then they are the ones that's probably created the problem. Now, my point is this. protest, peaceful protest, no problem. If they're strong Man United supporters, why on earth have they tried to kick in, which they did, and I've seen it on plenty of pictures on social media, one part of the stadium to get access in. Now, okay, on another part of the stadium,
the gate is open.
The gate, we got open by stewards. This is bad security, right? That's another issue.
They've allowed the gate.
They've allowed the gate to be open, and
there was no force of entry.
No. So, like anything, it's like if you've got a load of cattle and they're gated off, and you happen to just leave a gate open, that cattle will wander through that gate.
Yeah, of course.
So they've wandered into the Theatre of Dreams. Now then. But at the other side of the stadium, they didn't wander through through a gate. They were booting it. You can see it. They were absolutely booting a window to get access. Now, if you support Manchester United, why would you damage that stadium? Irrespective, the Manchester United, irrespective who owns it, why would you damage that stadium? It's like going out. I know this didn't happen, right? But you've got the statues outside. You know, George Best, Dennis Law. You know. It's like somebody going and defacing that, and you're supposed to be a red. You're supposed to be loyal. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. They know they're supposed to be playing Liverpool that day. So why have they got onto the pitch, even though they've got into the stadium? Why could they not have got into the stadium, which is not good anyway, and had a protest, sat in the stands and saying we're not moving, but we're sitting in the stands. We don't go anywhere.
That would have been a lot better.
That would have been a lot better. Instead, they've gone onto the pitch. They're playing, swinging on nets.
Yeah.
You know.
But then the media wants to pick up on this.
And I'm thinking,
don't they? That's their narrative.
That's their narrative, yeah, exactly. And then, so there's a lot of wrongs by a lot of things that happened on Sunday. A lot of wrongs. Yeah, it's great. Listen,
the wrongs are being highlighted, but and the good things aren't being highlighted about what happened at the weekend. And to tell me, I mean, obviously Manchester United have got to look at themselves on the security, because they knew. Listen, any protesting, we've seen it with Black Lives Matter down in London. Any protest that starts off on a positive, which is kind of in a reasonable, respectable way, always leads to trouble. Yeah,
it always does, because somewhere along the line, the village idiots jump in.
The bad apple in the barrel.
Bad apple in the barrel, exactly. And I think that's what. Yeah. So the moral of my story is the Glazers have really overstepped the mark now with that the Super League business. I think there's no way. I think exactly somebody they need to sell the business, sell out, walk out, and we need somebody in there that's going to, like Gary Neville has said it, Paul Scholes has said it. You know, you can see the front of the stadium and everything looks good at the stadium, Theatre of Dreams, but behind the scenes, and they know because they've grown up with the club, you know, it's tired. Well, if they think that's tired, come here to Westview, Brian Boys Westview Stadium. If that's tired, we're asleep.
Well, we are trying to do something about that. But no, it's interesting, and what was interesting, we touched upon it briefly before. Jamie Carragher's come out, and I thought the interview he gave, I think it was on Monday evening, explaining, you know, the real reasons and about the Glazers, because there were what he was calling lazy punditry from some guys on the BBC at the weekend.
I'm not being funny. Listen, Graham Souness was a like Roy
legend
King.
Of a player.
Roy King.
Yeah.
Aggressive,
Colossus.
Winner, 100%. But I'm sorry, there's some things that sometimes he says. No doubt, some people will think that I'm saying. But some things he says, I think, man, has he lost the plot?
Yeah.
And I mean, and what he was trying to say, that if United were at the top of the league challenging, this wouldn't have happened. That is an absolute, the biggest load of tripe. And he's right, is Jamie Carragher.
Yeah.
Because
he did his homework.
Jamie done his homework, but he hadn't done his homework, because like Jamie rightly pointed out, United went to 2 Champions League finals, right? And whilst even in that period, in that era that they were at 2 Champions League, there was a breakaway and FC United was formed.
That was it.
Manchester.
Yeah.
So obviously, excuse me, Graham Souness was talking through that proverbial hole in his backside. Yeah. And that's what doesn't help matters. Because when you get people like that, that just don't do their homework and come out with verbal diarrhea, and that were verbal diarrhea.
But it's great to see, a Scouser, a Liverpool, putting Souness right on that matter.
Well, listen. I mean, I had a bit of a dig about Jamie with Gary Neville the other week when they had that spat. But to be fair, on this one, Jamie's been spot on. And it is for football, because don't forget, it's not just Manchester United on the Super League business. No. Liverpool were involved in it as well, because they were going to go along. They got brainwashed with the Glazers or whatever, and obviously even City were to a point. And then obviously you've got Chelsea, and I think they've kind of appeased the situation by they saying that a couple of the supporters from the official supporters club can sit on a board meeting, but.
Yeah.
No one ever say it. I just calm things down.
Pacifying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Won't even be a proper board meeting. It'll just be make believe for invited supporters in.
Well, they'll be able to enjoy the prawn sandwiches, won't they?
Well, that's it. I want to pick up on Chelsea actually. We've not got this on your piece of paper. What do you make of Eden Hazard laughing his pants off at the end of the game with Real Madrid? Thought it was really untasteful. What they done, Chelsea's gone through, beat Real Madrid, but then he's seen laughing and joking at the end. If one of your players, let's say you've been beaten in a game, and one of your players previously used to play for the other team, and he's laughing and joking at the end of the fixture in a cup final or whatever, how would that make you feel as a manager?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot wrong. I mean, it's just, I didn't. To be perfectly honest, and I'm going to hold my hands up here, I didn't really see it. I watched the game, and then I were doing something else. So
the Spanish media, the Real Madrid press, they're going crazy about it because they don't like it at all. It's disrespectful.
Well, it is disrespectful. Listen, I just think there's such a lot wrong at the top level of football. Why, you're dealing with multi-millionaire players, and this is why managers. It's not easy for managers, because back in the day when you're wanting to instill discipline into a player, and back in the day, where you kind of had a bad what's the word I'm looking for, where you might have a bad apple in your group, and you might turn around and penalise them and say, well, I don't want you around my first team squad, you go and train over there with the kids and stuff like that, so you isolate him and get him away. Them days are short-lived now, because they turn around and they're talking with the contracts. They're talking with the
managers don't have the power.
Managers don't have the power, and that's kind of where it's not right, because managers can't really manage anymore at that level. It's still, as you go further down, you do get into that situation a lot better, and that's why I think more and more when you go into the VAR and everything else that's happening at the top level, more and more people will run away. They will run away because they're getting sick of it, and they'll drop down and watch. Hopefully they'll drop down to the grassroots and watch it, because it's real football. It's real. It's back. It's like it were. And everybody, look, if my players, showed that, and I don't think they would. They wouldn't. That.
I don't think you get that much at non-league level.
You won't get it at non-league level. It means so much. Winning means so much to people. And you work tirelessly to there's clubs out there. We've been, in my time here at Bacup Borough, we've always been doing something around the business end of the season, whether we've been at the top end, whether we've been in cup finals, semi-finals, whether we've been in promotion playoffs, or whether we've been involved in a relegation. That's what football's about, isn't it? You can be a mid-table team for all your history if you want to be a mid-table team, but would I really want to be in a club where I'm a mid-table team?
There's no fun in that.
There's no fun in that. No. You've seen it from both ends, haven't you?
You're either at the top or the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody wants to be a middleman.
No, and I think it means so much to everybody. And even getting to, I even think now, I watch them, congratulations to Chelsea and Manchester City and Manchester United in getting to the finals of their relevant competitions in Europe. But let me tell you, I watch them games. I've watched every even them, and I think to myself, everybody's going mad about. I'm not taking anything away from Man City, by the way, but they're going on about PSG, and I'm thinking, I didn't even think they were that good when they played Man United. But we know as well as Man United, you know, they can't keep a bloody lead.
No.
You know, it's simple. They just can't. They just let things in at the back. They're bad. You know, and I looked at Man City were well organised against PSG, and they shut the shop and defended really, really well. And they knew they were going to hurt them at the top end of the pitch. But what I'm saying is the level, the standard, and I don't know whether it's me, I don't think it means the same.
No.
I don't honestly think it's the same. At one time, you go back 10 years and you'd think like getting to a Champions League final, it'd be all euphoria, but now it doesn't seem the same.
Money plays a bigger part in the competition.
I think it does, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it does.
Where before it was all about the glory and the silverware. Now it's about, or it seems to be, how many pound notes you can put in your pocket.
Yeah. And I just think, you know, it's sad, but money's dictated a lot at the highest level football, and it's taken a lot of what football was special about. I mean, look, we always like to look at the retro things like going back to the FA Cup, don't we? We always like to look at, you know, you can see Bob Stokoe now. I can see him
running up pitch with his plastic mac on,
and his hat falls off.
Or David Pleat skipping across the pitch.
You know,
Keith Fouchin doing a diving header.
Doesn't mean so much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But as a kid, you know, you'd be playing football on the back street or against the factory wall as a kid, or in the local park. And you would have visions, you'd be dreaming of FA Cup Day. Because I remember FA Cup Day on the BBC, it started at 12.
It was brilliant.
Team hotel,
brilliant.
Helicopter following the coach.
Everything brilliant.
It's all gone now.
It's all gone. It's all gone.
Not even John Mott's in here anymore.
No, it's all gone. It's rubbish. It's rubbish. It really is. And I mean, going back to Man United, I can remember, you know...
But you get excited talking about it.
Well, yeah. But going back, the first cup final that I went to, with Man United, and I spent half my days and nights on the concourse at Old Trafford outside, swapping tokens. Those who don't know about the tokens, you had tokens.
Get enough tokens to get
your
ticket.
Sheet in to get your ticket.
Yeah.
And you know,
were you buying tokens?
Well, swapping them, buying them, and you were on the concourse. And I remember. And
how many did you need?
Well, you needed a full sheet. You know, you needed everything on a full sheet. So basically, and I remember standing there and swapping tickets. What number have you got? What number? And you I've got that. Yeah, and you'd swap them. You know, and
like having a Panini, one of them Panini sticker books that you used to have.
Yeah, you know, honestly,
doing swaps.
But then what you do, I can remember because this was when we first cut, and then the application went in and I remember posting it outside Old Trafford. The big box, the post box, and I put my application in, and every day I couldn't wait for the postman to come to see if I was lucky enough to have got a cup final ticket. And it was Southampton, and you know what? They lost against Southampton. Southampton were the underdogs. Southampton won, but it didn't really faze me because you know what? The biggest achievement for me that going to that it was going to Wembley.
It was actually going
and
to watch a match.
And watch them.
Yeah.
Playing at Wembley, you know, it meant so much. But all that, you know, it's all gone.
It seems to have gone.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. Well, even the FA Cup's not the same.
No.
You know, it is for us.
Yeah.
But we can't even win the raffle to get in the FA Cup.
FA Cup for us starts at the end of July, where the TV companies, unfortunately, think it starts in December. But that's another story.
That's another story.
What's on the piece of paper? What else have we got?
Right, well, you're going to ask me. I thought, why have you not touched on Man United? One thing me and Ollie share in common was something he did in his interview last night. Now, let's get one thing straight here, and I'm going to tell you. Right? And I think some people got me mistaken in what I was trying to say last week.
Misinterpreted what you were trying to get at?
Right, on Man United. I turned round and said, if you analyse Man United's performances over season, there's a cover-up. They're not the team that everybody's portraying that they are, and they're on the right track. And I mean, it might seem daft me saying this.
No, but they're not the real deal.
But they're not the real deal. And I said that they're not the real deal. And I said, and how they're getting away with it at the minute is because they have got, in key positions, some really, really quality players.
Yeah.
And when those quality players come to the fore or get an opportunity, usually, more often than not,
polishes over the cracks.
They score goals, they win games.
Yeah.
Right? And they'll score more goals than the opposition.
And you forget about the mistakes.
And you forget about it. It overrides it. You follow me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And equally, if a lot of people look at the situation in terms of how many goals, they keep going on about Hernandez and how many goals he scored, but he scored a lot of penalties. And if you analyse, that's because they've been on the right end of VAR decisions. Probably, if VAR weren't in force, them decisions...
There'd be a fraction, wouldn't they?
Wouldn't have been going in United's favour, if you follow me.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, in a nutshell, when I came out on the show and I said, it might have come across that I was saying, talking bonkers, because I was thinking, well, where's he saying, quality? Well, you must have quality to win games. No, you can be a bad side.
You can have a bit of luck as well.
You can have players within your team that have got the quality that can, like you say, cover up the cracks. I mean, I remember when I was manager of Glossop, and I thought we had an absolute fantastic side. I mean, we were steamrolling teams. I mean, Curzon and Ashton were playing 3 leagues above us at the time, and we knocked them out of the FA Vars. Not just knocked them out, we scored 6 goals, right, against Curzon and Ashton. Now, but one thing stood out to me was when we lost our goalkeeper, and he wasn't available, and we put, obviously, a more or less experienced keeper in. It showed the crack. He was covering a lot of the cracks up, so he wasn't as good as what I was thinking we were when we had this goal.
Because he was actually a keeper, not just saving, but he was taking a lot of the pressure off the defence as well at the same time.
Exactly, and seeing a lot of things before it even got on top of them by organising. So, my point were last week when I said on the show, United are nothing like the team they should be, and I think some people kind of laughed at that and thinking, but I'm being honest, and I'm a United supporter. Now, let's be honest, going back to last night proved my point. Because last night, again, there was absolutely woeful defending going on. They won't get away with it on here, on Bacup, that defending. It was woeful. And I mean, the standards. So people have standards. So from a manager's point of view, you never want to lose a game of football. And for me, the players, if they're proper players, they would never want to lose a game of football. No. Equally, players should have their own personal, no matter what the club standards set, players should have their own standards that they set. Yeah. So you should have your own standards. The
personal pride needs
personal
to kick
pride.
in.
So if they've got their own standards, I look at that defending last night in that game and some of the goal, and but for De Gea, we would have been out the tie. Yeah. He was absolutely magnificent last night. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this just shows they're covering over. Excuse the French, we're crap. We're absolute crap. But at the other end of the pitch, they've got a freaking absolute gem in Cavani, who's experienced, and obviously his goals... Saving the bacon. So that's my point. The covering, there's a lot of players that aren't good. So whilst I'm absolutely over the moon that they've got to a Europa final, let's not get carried away. And Ollie actually said it in an interview, and this isn't having a go at Ollie, because I'm not having a go at Ollie. Ollie can only work with the trash he's got. Yeah. Seriously.
And I'm sure he knows he's got a lot.
And he knows that. And he turned around last night in an interview and he said, I'm not happy about losing the game. And he said, I'm ecstatic about getting in the final. But he said, the difference were at both ends of the pitch. I had quality goalkeeper who saved the day, and the goals we needed was Cavani up front. I rest my case. Yeah. That's exactly what I was trying to get at.
The rest of the stuff wasn't up to scratch.
Correct. And that's what I was trying to get at the week before.
Yeah.
So all these Reds, so-called Reds who are out there, come on, I'm a Red. There's nobody wants them to win, but let's not get carried away. At the minute, there's a long way to go. There's a lot of dead wood at that club that needs shifting and some investment with better players coming in. Then we can talk about challenging properly.
Yeah, definite. Any more points? What we're going to touch upon?
Points make prizes.
Points make prizes.
Well, we've got Bacup Borough. We're at home tomorrow in a nice friendly. It'll be great to welcome over one of my former players at Glossop, and here at Bacup he played a few games. Simon Heaton. Now Simon's on the managerial staff with Mickey Norton and Mr. Birch over at New Mills, and they're bringing the side over here tomorrow to have a friendly, and then we're going to go over on Wednesday. We're going to go over to John Francis's, where John Francis is the assistant manager
at Brighouse.
And that'll be another test. But we'll not be at full strength because we've got injuries, and we've got, which is a shame because I wanted
have work commitments, won't they?
Well, this is still go over to that's immaterial. I don't accept that. We've got work commitments. Why, man? What would they do if we were playing blinking Golker on a night match?
Well, yeah, or Cleaton Moore.
You know, you'd have to be there. So there's all that don't wash with me. You know, but what my point is at the minute, these 2 games, if we were at full strength, would be a really good test for us. And see where we are as a management team. Me and Dave, we could see where we are and what we need, and if we need any more, which we do need more. You can never have enough, and you always want to better what you've got. So it would have given us, but a good test. But unfortunately, a couple of players are carrying knocks. One of them's not available, unfortunately, for other reasons, and it is what it is. So. But nevertheless, so from my point of view, the games are brilliant because I wanted them. So we're going to have some, but it'll still be good for us because there'll be a couple of new lads in that we want to have a look at, some trialists in. So it gives us a chance to have a look.
We had a training session last week and that went really well. You know, the lads are in good spirits, aren't they?
The lads, we've got a great set of lads here. We've got a great squad. But what I'm trying to say is, when you pick these games, I pick these games for a reason, and I want to test us to see how well we do against what I would class to be, in some instances, certainly the Brighouse, and this is no disrespect to New Mills.
Stronger opposition. It's no good. Listen, it's no good playing a team that's dog and duck or anything like that, where you're going to rattle a few goals in or whatever. We're not learning anything. We want to be tested, and these young lads need testing. And all I'm trying to say is that, you know, I'm a little bit disappointed that we've got a couple of key players that are carrying injuries, because they would have been. I would have liked to have gone into these games at full. For them to have that experience of playing against quality opposition.
Well, but mainly not really to see them playing. So me and Dave can see where we're at. I'm not being funny. We went toe-to-toe with Ramsbottom on here and absolutely pre-season and absolutely give them a riding.
It was a great performance.
And they had most of the team out, right? I'm not gloating about it, but that gives us a good test. So if we can give them a good hiding, we want to see where we are in another team that's on a level par with them. And if we can give them a good hiding, then I know for a fact
we're going in the right direction.
We're going in the right direction, and that's what it's about.
Yeah.
So it's, but that's what it is. The beer garden again, I will say it. So, and we're not allowed spectators. We're nearly getting there where we can have a few in.
Yeah.
But on Saturday, you're quite welcome to come into the beer garden. If the weather forecast says rain, just bring an umbrella with you and stand in the beer garden and have your umbrella up and be look like Mary Poppins. Right? But you can't But you can't go into the stadium.
No.
But and sign in the book. And obviously COVID.
Yeah, restrictions are in place.
You can have a drink, but you can't stay in the clubhouse. You've got to go
back out. One way in, one way out.
Back out and go on to the beer garden with your umbrella.
I just wanted to mention one thing before we go, Brent. James Dean, a former Padiham player, Altrincham, I believe he's gone missing. He's been missing for over 24 hours now. A lot of stuff on social media. Hopefully by the time this goes out, he's been found and he's safe and well. If not, James Dean has been missing for over 24 hours. Everyone's worried. The police have been notified. Everyone's sharing it on social media. If you do see him, then do notify the police.
It's a worrying time.
Yeah.
There's some bad people out there. And not only is there some bad people out there, but there's a lot of people out there that's suffering, as we touched on last week, mental health issues. So
it's taken its toll, hasn't it?
Between them, we don't know what's happening. No. So, you know, if James is out there, anybody knows where his whereabouts is, at least please contact the people who he's close to let them know that he's kind of safe and well, because it is a extremely worrying time for everyone.
It is. Well,
there's one more just before we do finish. That would have been a nice one. Well, not a nice one, because it's never nice when somebody's out there and you know, and what we're saying. But we did touch on with two opportunities, very, very good opportunities that are important to Bacup Borough Football Club arising.
Yeah.
The first one is, which is important to me as both of them are vastly important to me. One's on the business side of things and one's on the playing side of things. So we're kind of looking for somebody to take control and be head of recruitment, basically, which consists of, I don't have to tell you, which is important, is scouring out there, looking where the talent is and seeing if there's...
Definitely an important role.
It's an important role, but it's not only just about finding the talent, it's about also... There might become some weekends where we want them to go out and just give us reports on the opposition that we're due to play. Now, we had somebody that filled that role who I thought was absolutely fantastic, excellent, and done a brilliant job. Unfortunately, the person that did it, he had been on the coaching staff at the club, but then he for reasons beyond our control, and probably his control, because he had personal issues and different things going on, and he to apply for I think he'd applied for a promotion in his job. He kind of had to step down from the coaching role, but he could do the recruitment role, and he's been brilliant. In fact, if somebody were to ask me now, or he were to ask me, which do you think from the time he worked here, you know, as a coach working with the first team, and you know, head of recruitment, where do I see that he would fit? 100% head of recruitment all day long, because he could spot a player.
He can pick a player.
He knew a player and he could pick a player. And the most important thing is he knows the kind of player that I like. Yeah. Because he knows how I.
We won't mention his name because he might get scouted and you'll lose it.
Well, it doesn't really matter. He can't do the job because. Obvious reasons. I mean, he's just taken a promotion in the job he works at. He's left a company and he's working for another company where he's got a promotion. He's in charge of I don't know if he's transport manager or whatever. So that brings its responsibilities. But you know, I'll mention his first name. Danny was a very good at that.
A player.
And I think he was. You know, he kind of probably let his
scout role. Really,
he kind of let himself down a little bit on the coaching side. Not because he couldn't coach. Of course, he could coach. But I just felt that he kind of wanted something that more than what we were prepared to offer him, and it kind of didn't work out that. But when he took this recruitment role, he was very good at that. He was good at that. He was extremely good, and I think he could be. He could kick on in that role really good. But unfortunately, like I said, he's got this job and he's doing well in his job. But you know, we need somebody to fill them quite big boots, really, because he did do well. He's brought some good lads here.
Yeah.
So we're looking for somebody to do that, but we don't want time wasters. I've had people here before in important roles, and usually what happens is they want to do the job. They've all guns blazing, but then unfortunately they've got an henpecker at home. You know what an henpecker is?
Yeah, I do.
Her indoors.
Mine's next door.
They've got them there indoors. She comes they start giving them that. Yeah, well, they start giving them that. And they go, well, you're out all day again today. That football club's really taking your life over. So then they end up bringing packing in. You know, listen, we don't want. I want the best people out there.
We've had a few time wasters.
I don't want no time wasters. If you've got, if you're in a family situation where your better half is a bit one of them and gives you a load of grief, don't apply, please. Because listen, you know what football's like.
Yeah.
You only get out of it what you put into it, and if you're going to go in half-hearted, you're going to come out half-hearted. We can't afford that. Now the other role is business. Join our business development team.
Yeah.
We need somebody to join that, which again, that is a license to print some money, because the person who would come in would
be working with me.
Working alongside yourself, and it's commission, but it's good commission. So, like I said, 100% of nothing's nothing.
Yeah, it's good commission.
It is.
I'll tell them.
100% of nothing's
Why do you think I'm sat here?
So, there we go. You know where we are. If you want to come on board, there are 2 responsible positions.
And I'll put all the details underneath this video as regards email, Lou, to get, you want to give us a call.
But make sure you've got an understanding, lovely wife or girlfriend that understands, because, you can't. I don't want you coming in and then all of a sudden your better half decides differently, and then you've gone, because it just messes
you think it's
everything
a bit too much.
Yeah, exactly.
But good commissions, that is for sure. Been a great show. Beer Gar's open tomorrow, 1 p.m. Bring your umbrella.
And Nick Files, if you're watching this, stop them shots. And I don't mean gunshots. I mean shots that you drink. Because in the night, you might start being a bit rough because you've had too much to drink. You might swing your arm out. You might knock a glass, and you might end up in hospital, like what happened last week. So on that note, less beer, less chat, like the game, keep out of hospital, keep out of trouble, but still you can buy a few pop and crisps, because probably that's your barra. See you later.